Hey guys, what is going on? So I was talking with a friend and I've been noticing this trend, among myself, among people that I've talked to, and I really wanted to make this video about persevering and actually being able to achieve your goals and why a lot of people don't actually end up doing that, and kind of the thought process with that. So this friend that I was talking to, he had a couple things that really finally came to fruition, and I was talking to him months ago about kind of the plan that it would take to achieve those things, at least in my perspective, or the way that I did it in the past. And it was this very boring, like, oh, you got to do things this non-flashy way. You got to do this thing that's not going to be immediately beneficial for you, that's actually going to push you in the wrong direction of where you're trying to go in the short term, but in the long run, it will pay out. So, one of those things was, in terms of body composition, in terms of bodybuilding, this was somebody who had a failed dirty bulk in the past. And, my recommendation, the thing that I was saying that he should do is actually to bulk, even though he had this fear of, gaining that fluff and everything like that, which is something that I had in the past. And I think everybody kind of goes through that phase if they had a dirty bulk where they got a little bit fatter than they wanted to. So anyway, fast forward, he was very, hesitant to do it, but he finally did, end up doing that. And he made tremendous results. And, now that he's cutting, he's looking absolutely insane. He put on a lot of mass. So he had that situation where he's like, wow, I'm very happy I did this. But he actually went in the, wrong direction in terms of how he wanted to look aesthetically to get to that point. He had another situation where, he was basically giving up money to take advantage of an opportunity by basically backing off and not taking money in the short term to potentially set him up for a position in the long run. And, as I'm talking to him today, it sounds like he is finally achieving that goal that he set out for himself. And I was kind of suggesting certain methods that he could use to be able to, get to that goal where he was giving up something by doing things a different way than he already was doing. So he was giving up some money in that process to set himself up for the future. And again, it looks like both of those things, and this is not to say that I'm like some guru or anything like that, but I noticed both of those. And he was kind of talking about how there's this long period of time where he felt like he just wasn't making progress, like he was doing all this work and he wasn't really growing, he wasn't really getting into the position that he wanted to be. And then all of a sudden, it's like overnight success. Everything's happening all at once. And the reality is that just because you're perceiving yourself as going in the wrong direction or because you're giving something up, you might have a period of negative growth or going against the direction that you'd want to go, at least on paper, but in reality, you're actually going in the right direction. And this is basically sacrificing short-term gratification or short-term results, the thing that you immediately want right now, for the thing down the road. And this is why people, when they start a business, when they want to, build a better body, when they want to do these things, it's like you start a business and a lot of these businesses will lose money immediately, or maybe eventually they do start making money, or they're big enough now where they're able to go public and they're just bleeding cash, and people are like, people in the finance world understand that, you spend that money to be able to grow, and then eventually you set yourself up for future success for where you're potentially, a multi-billion-dollar company. You don't get to that point by playing it safe, by only focusing on the profits in the immediate future. You're really kind of playing the long game, or like a Jeff Bezos situation where he just consistently over and over again was trying to expand the company, trying to grow it, trying to make it better, and focusing on that as opposed to focusing on profitability. And what do you know? Amazon becomes $1 trillion company, right? So, situation like that, bulking, right? You are bulking, you're trying to gain muscle to look aesthetically pleasing. You want to be big and strong and everything like that, but at the same time, you want to be lean. You want to look good. But bulking is kind of making you fatter and not necessarily giving you that aesthetic appeal that you'd want. So time and time again, I've noticed these trends, with business, with any professional thing, any, bodybuilding type thing. You kind of have to take a couple steps back. You kind of have to, really kind of dig down and be in a situation where you're not perceiving yourself to really be making results, but you are, putting that brick down, laying that brick down, building that foundation so that you can be that overnight success when everything comes together. And the reality is that you just trusted the process. You just actually did the thing and put your head down. And even when, during time periods where there's a lot of pain, where you didn't think like you were doing the correct thing, you persevered and you continue to do that thing. And so if somebody, on the outside looking in is like, okay, you are doing all this work. You're potentially losing money if you're starting a business. You're potentially, getting fatter and getting less aesthetic if you're trying to build your body. You're doing extra work to have a worse result. But that's, again, just in the short term. So the average person, the average logical person would be like, okay, well, I'm not going to continue to do this extra work if I'm not getting that outcome that I want. But you will eventually. You just have to actually trust that process. So I just really wanted to say this because I noticed this a lot with younger people, and I was 1,000% this way when I was younger, and I still, am in certain fronts, and I try and work on that. But as I get older, I notice that the more I trust the process on something, the more that I listen to other people when they talk about their successes and like, hey, I've been through this exact thing that you have been, and you're not unique, and this is something that you could learn from. And I would just be like blocking it out. Like when you're young, you're naive, but you think that you know everything, and it's like, you don't. And when you continue to learn from other people, and when you continue to just have that experience for yourself, you'll learn that for yourself, that trusting the process is really the way to go. And if you can have people in your corner to actually be there, like telling you about that, as opposed to just having to learn that for yourself, after time and time again of brutally, potentially trying really hard, failing, quitting, repeating that process over and over and over again, like if you can understand that that is part of the process to success, that you're not a failure, that you are just having these situations where you can learn from, and that's where you develop, that's where you lay that foundation. That's really when success comes, from my experience, from what I've experienced for myself, what I've experienced from other people who are way smarter, way better than me in every facet. That's something that I've noticed. That's a trend that I've been noticing, and that's something that I've been implementing into my life over the past couple of years with tremendous results. So simply just trusting the process, simply just realizing that you're going to have these periods where you kind of take a step back and it looks like you're regressing, when in reality you're actually going the direction that you want. It just doesn't necessarily look like that. So just a reminder to you guys, I have had tons of conversations with people on all different things, mostly relating to, bodybuilding, weightlifting, stuff like that. But so many different things in life in terms of, business and everything like that. So just wanted to put that out there for anybody who needed to hear that, or for somebody who doesn't necessarily want to hear it. I hope you can kind of come back, whether you remember this, whether you watch this video in the future, and it really clicks for you, because you'll only really accept the knowledge from other people when they've been through it, when you're ready to hear it. So I understand that this is going to fall on some deaf ears. Maybe this doesn't help anybody, but I hope it does. I just want to put it out there because I really wish that I had somebody, who I was very close with, who was showing me these things when I was younger. And I would love, and it's not about age, it's not about me being older or younger than somebody. It's just about experience in a certain kind of area. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. I'll keep you updated, and I'll talk to you soon.